Hello everyone, hope all are doing extremely well today. Today I'm very excited to stand in front of you because I'm going to present you a very special video today that's about English tenses. It's not just a mere YouTube video that you're going to watch any other day. It is a very special video which will tell about A to Z of English tenses. I have taken a lot of pain and efforts to select meticulously the presentation of this English tense video, and I'm sure especially those students and who wants to speak and write English efficiently, this video is gonna help you a lot for sure, and you will not be just able to grasp the power of English tenses, but you will be able to share it. You will be able to teach others about English tenses after watching this video. I'm very sure about this. So just keep on with me, keep watching this video until the end, and I will just need a promise from you that you will be watching this video until the end, and I will promise you that it's gonna make a lot of difference in your life. So let's go to the presentation. Welcome back, dear friends. So before we go into the details of all English tenses, I just want to tell you one more thing, that this is a full-fledged video of all English tenses. So it's gonna take a little more time than you expect because it's a package. It is covering so many things other than tenses also. So let us go to the presentation now. These are the table of contents. What are we gonna learn in these presentations? It's not only about the tenses, but everything that we should know while learning tense. Those things are covering here. Okay, let's begin with what is tense. The word tense is derived from the Latin word tempus, which means time. What is the importance of using correct English tense? After learning all the English tenses, you will be communicating your ideas very precisely and eloquently. Your writing skills will be improved and concise. What is the definition of tense? Tense is the form of a verb which is used to express the time and the status of an action or work. Here in what is tense, we tell that the tense means time. But here in the definition, we are saying that the tense, it is used to express the time and the status of an action. So not only time, it says about action of the status of the action also. All right. So based on the time, that is when the action is taking place, we can divide tense into three types, that is past, present, and future. So if we say like the speech time, right now I'm talking to you, I'm teaching you, this is the speech time. And before now, what happened before this time, it's in the past tense. So what is happening right now in this period of time, it is present tense. So what will happen after this particular time, it will be in future tense. Based on the aspect of status of an action or work, we can divide tense into four more categories. The first aspect is simple or indefinite. Second, continuous or progressive. Third, perfect. And the last one, perfect continuous aspect. Like in the previous slide, we have learned that the tenses are divided into three categories as per the time, that is past, present, and future. But here, in each of these three tenses, past tense, present tense, and future tense, we are dividing again into four categories, like simple past, past continuous, past perfect continuous, and simple present, present continuous, present perfect, and present perfect continuous, simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. Okay, let's learn about simple aspect of tense. The simple aspect is normally what is true at a particular point of time. Like in simple present, what is true at this time? What otherwise we can say, normally in simple present, we can say the permanent truth or a permanent fact, or what is a regular or habitual action. Like that, we are for these things we are normally using present simple aspect, and there are more things like the future planning scheduled events. We can use present simple, that we will cover in the future slides. For the past simple, we can say it's something happened in the past at a particular point of time. So like here in the past simple and future simple is something which will happen at a future time. In the past simple and future simple, better to mention a particular time, so that will clarify the tense more clearly. So in the past, in the present simple, we have example like I study, I work, I do. So here we generalize the things. We can say I love to play chess, I like to read. So general things we can say. There is no particular time for that. It can be true before, it can be true right now, and it can be true later also. But for the past simple, it is not like that. It is true at a time in the past only. I studied, I studied yesterday, I studied English yesterday, something which has already done at a particular time. And in future, we can say, I will study English tomorrow. At a particular, we can tell the time, or we can tell tomorrow. So that is future simple. So we here in, as I told before, past simple and future simple. It's better to construct these sentences with a proper time. Either it's in the past or it's in the future. The next aspect is continuous or progressive aspect. This is very easy tense, because what is going on right now, we can tell it is in present continuous. What was going at a time in the past, we can tell it is in past continuous tense. And what will be happening at a time in the future, we can say it is in future continuous tense. Like an example, present continuous, I am studying now. At this time, I am teaching now. I am teaching at this point of time. And in the past continuous, I was studying yesterday at 4 p.m. That's an example. Future continuous, I will be studying at this time tomorrow. So better to mention the time for all these sentences. Like I am studying now, I was studying yesterday. Future continuous, I will be studying tomorrow. Some particular point of time, if you mention here, it will be very clear. The next aspect is the perfect aspect of tense. This is as the word says, it's a perfect, the perfection of action. What is perfected, what is completed in perfection before a point of time. That like in present perfect, what is already completed as of now, but it is already done, and it has an effect to the present, effect to now. That is present perfect. I have studied English. That means I have just studied English. I have just completed this action. This has an effect into the present. Past perfect is I had studied English yesterday before I sleep. Like in that example, we can see there are two actions in the past. One is I had studied English. The other action is I slept. So when we have two actions in the past, which is the previous action, we can use the past perfect tense, and the next action we can use it in simple past tense. In future perfect, like I will have studied English before I sleep tomorrow. So in this aspect, we are telling I will have done, I will have completed, I will have perfected this particular action before a point of time in the future. In the perfect continuous, only the difference is here between the perfect and perfect continuous is here in the perfect continuous, the action which it is done is continuous in nature. And like in present perfect, we said, I have studied English. And here we can say, I have been studying English. That is still going on. Here the action has just completed. Here it's still going on. And here to mention the period, it is very important to clear this particular tense. So I have been studying English for the last 2 hours. That will have more clarity in the tense. And in the past continuous, I had been studying English yesterday for 2 hours before I sleep. So before I slept. So here you can see that the period we are mentioning, the period of time before I sleep, I had been studying. So both are in the past. Same like here we say in the past perfect. Both are in the past, but the first action was continuous until the second action has obstructed it. So that is past perfect continuous. Don't worry if you don't get exactly the correct meaning of it. We will go into details very soon. The future perfect continuous is I will have been studying tomorrow at a particular time. I will have been studying English before I will have been studying English for 2 hours before I sleep tomorrow. Here in the future, you see, we are telling two things. And the first things we are telling in future perfect continuous. And the second thing, the last thing, which is comparatively the second action, we say in simple present tense. So that is a structure we should identify here with future perfect continuous. Okay, let's go further. Okay. Before we go any further, we should know what is a sentence, because whatever we say, we talk in sentences. So if you don't understand what is a sentence and how to create or how to construct a proper sentence, we will not be able to communicate properly. So what is subject? What is sentence? A sentence is a group of words that is complete in meaning. You should have a complete meaning, then only it is called as a sentence. So normally sentence has a subject and predicate. This is a sentence. This is a sentence. In this sentence, subject is this and predicate is a sentence. In simple terms, a sentence is a set of words that contain a subject and a predicate. Subject means the main hero of the particular sentence. What is the sentence is about, the topic of the sentence. And predicate is normally what is said about the subject, what is said about the hero, what is said about the person who did the things, does the thing. Okay, so predicate normally has two things, verb and object. So let's see about an example here, sentence, you speak English. In this particular sentence, you is subject and speak English is predicate, and in the predicate, speak is verb. So the verb is very important in a sentence. This because this is the one which decides the tense of that particular sentence. So the tense of a sentence is decided by the form of the verb. So normally the verbs are in two forms, that is main verb and auxiliary verb. So main verbs are the normal verbs that we use: sing, dance, work, go, come. All these are main verbs, and these verbs have three forms mainly. That is V1 form, that is the base or present form of the verb, which is used in simple present tense, and the V2 form, that is the past form of the verb, which is used in simple past, and the V3 form, that is normally used in the perfect tenses, that is the past participle form of the verb, and the ing form, which is normally used in all the continuous tenses. And the s or es form is also used in the simple present form. Okay, here the s or es, for the s or es form, we should know what is a subject pronoun, because only the third person singular, that is he, she, it, uses the s or es form. Okay, so what is subject pronoun? Subjects, there are three types of subject pronouns: first person, second person, and third person. First person, I and we. I is singular, I'm alone, I'm the person, and we are together, we are plural. And the second person is you, both singular or plural, we call you. The third person singular is he, she, it, and the plural for the third person is they. So here we say he says, she sings, it works, but we say they work, they sing. All right, let's go into the details. Okay, as we already talked in the last slide, that the main verb has three forms, that's V1, V2, and V3, and also it has ing form, that is present participle, and the third person singular form, that is s or es. So here we have example for this. So this V1 form and the V5, that the third person singular form, it's only used for the simple present tense. And the V2, that is the past form of the verb, it is main verb, it is used for only in simple past tense. The V3, the past participle form, is used for all the perfect tenses. And the present participle form, that is the ing form of the verb, we use in all continuous tenses, including perfect continuous. Let us see some example of tenses from our daily lives. Oliver is my son, and this is his daily timetable. It looks something like this. Every day, between 4 to 6 p.m., he studies different subjects. Yesterday, he studied maths. Today, he is studying English. Now, it's 5 p.m. now. Tomorrow, he will study science. And after the studies, every day, he plays chess. This is his daily routine. So here, we can see this is simple aspect that is in the timeline mentioned here. We can say, now at present, today, his duty is to study English. His timetable says he has to study English. So he studies English today. It can be at the present also. It can be anywhere in the day. His routine for today is to study English. That is what we mean by he studies English today. Anytime in the day, he has to study English. That's his today's routine. All right. In the past, at a particular point in the past, he did study something. That we can mention it in simple past tense. Like he studied maths yesterday. So we can see in the timetable yesterday at during the time period 4 to 6 p.m. he studied maths. So we can say he studied maths yesterday. We can mention the time also here. He studied maths yesterday is in the past simple form. And here we can see tomorrow, what is his plan? His plan for tomorrow is to study science between 4 to 6 p.m. So we can say he will study science tomorrow. That's in the simple future form. So we have learned simple present, he studies English today. Simple past, he studied maths yesterday. And in the simple future, he will study science tomorrow. Let's go to the continuous. What action is continuing at this time? It is present simple, simple present. What action was continuing at a particular time in the past? It is called past continuous. And what action he will be doing at a particular time in the future? It is called future continuous. So as of now it's 5 p.m. He is studying English. So we can say he is studying English now. It means at this particular point of time, his activity is study. And we can say in the past, we can say here, yesterday, during this time, 4 to 6 p.m., he studied mathematics. So at 5 p.m., what was he doing? He was studying mathematics, correct? So let's say he was studying maths at 5 p.m. yesterday. That was what was happening at that particular time in the past. So in the same scenario, we can see tomorrow at 5 p.m. what will be the process of the continuity for him. He will be studying science at 5 p.m. tomorrow. That's in the future continuous tense. Okay, let's go to the perfect tense now. Okay, in the perfect tense, don't confuse with this timing, because this timing I mainly use for the continuous tense, which needs the exact timing of what's happening now. So in this present perfect, think that just imagine that he has completed his studies, like now it is 6:15 p.m. We can say he has studied English for 2 hours. So he already finished the English studies today, and it has an effect for today, because the day has not completed, but he has finished his studies for today. All right, that is present perfect. Here, what is important is the action. He has studied. That has studied is what is important in present perfect. The action. Here, the time period or the time is not that important. In the past perfect, we can see that yesterday at 4 to 6 p.m. he was studying maths, and after the studies he played chess, or he was playing chess after the studies. Okay, so we can say he had studied maths before he played chess yesterday. So he had completed the math studies and he played chess. So we can say he had studied maths before he played chess yesterday. So just see how beautifully it is created. Like the past perfect tense is used in the first in the action which has done previously, and the subsequent action it is used in simple past tense. This is the beauty of past perfect tense. Here we can combine two actions in the past. Okay, let us go for future perfect. So we can see that his tomorrow's plan. Tomorrow he will be studying science, and his plan is like 4 to 6 p.m. He will study science, and after that he will play chess. So we can imagine that tomorrow he will have studied science before he plays chess tomorrow. So he will finish his studies tomorrow, and after that he will go and play chess. So here also it's beautifully constructed. The sentence is beautifully constructed here with he will have studied. That is a future perfect form, and the next one before he plays chess tomorrow. The second, the later thing in the future we explain in simple present tense. So that is the beautiful construction of future perfect tense. If we are telling about two things in the future, so we can tell the last thing, the which is the last thing in the future, we can express in simple future, and which has done before, that we can express it in future perfect tense. Okay, let's talk about perfect continuous tense now. Now, at this time, now it's 5 p.m., we can tell he has been studying English for the last 1 hour, because he started his English studies at 4 p.m. and now it's 5 p.m. So he has been studying English for the last 1 hour. So what is important here in perfect continuous tense, and all the perfect continuous tense, is the continuity of the work. The period and the continuity of the work is important in present, any perfect continuous tense. Whereas in perfect tense, what is important is the action, the completion of action, the perfectness of action is important. That is the main difference in these two tenses. So like in present perfect tense, we have seen this example. He has been studying English for the last 1 hour, we can tell at this right moment. And yesterday, as we know that he had already completed his studies. What he studied yesterday, maths, and after that he played chess. So we can combine these two things and tell about the period of continuity by using he had been studying maths for 2 hours before he played chess yesterday. See how we construct these two past actions, and the first past action was a continuous one here. So that one we are mentioning it in had been studying, that is the perfect continuous form. Okay, let's go to the future continuous form. So we can tell by tomorrow, 4 to 6 p.m. is his plan for science, and after that he will play chess. So we can mention this during this 2 hours he will be doing this work. So how we will present that in future perfect continuous? It is like this: he will have been studying science for 2 hours before he plays chess tomorrow. So here two future actions. The first future action was continuous for a period of time, that we can mention it in future perfect continuous by he will have been studying science for 2 hours before he plays chess tomorrow. The second action we can mention it in simple present. That's the beauty of this connections between the two future actions and two past actions. We can mention it in perfect continuous tense. Let's talk about all the tenses in details now. Okay, let's talk about present tense at first. Present tense, as we know already, all these tenses are divided into three categories in respect of time, that is past, present, and future. And each of these three tenses we divide again into four aspects of the status of action, that is simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. So here we are going about the present tense. The first one is simple present tense. Simple present tense is what is general truth, which is true for now and true before and after also. Okay, we will go into the details of the simple present tense now. This is the form of simple present tense. With the subject, we use the base or es form of the verb, or sometimes we use am, sometimes are, sometimes is. Where we use all this, we will see here. With I, we use the base form of the verb, like I study English, or we can use I am a boy. This is used with the I. The second, the usage, we, you, and they, we use the base form of the verb, that is study. We study English. You study mathematics. They work they work together. Or we can use we are friends, we are students, like that. And the third, he, she, it, these are the third person singular forms. We use S or ES form of the verb. He studies, she studies, it works, or is. He is a boy, she is a teacher, it is something like that. Okay. And also we learned this, these are the subject pronouns I, we, you, they, he, she, it. I is the first person singular, we is the first person plural. The second person, both singular and plural, is you. The third person plural is they, and the third person singular are he, she, and it. Let's talk about spelling rules and examples of simple present tense. So, like verbs for he, she, it, and singular noun, anything singular in nature, like is pen, paper, table, India, country, continent, earth, anything which is singular in nature, we use S or ES with simple present. Let's see, with the most verbs, we use S, like live become lives, sit sits, stay stays. If it is ending with the letter Y, the verb is ending with the letter Y, normally it become IES. Like try become tries, carry become carries. If it is ending like S, Z, CH, or X, we add ES to it. Miss become misses, buzz buzzes, catch catches, fix fixes, examples. And always there will be an exception for everything. So here go become goes, do become does. Okay, let's go to the simple present usage. What meaning does use of the simple present convey? Habitual usage or recurring action habits, we can use it in simple present tense. I come to school by metro. I listen to the radio every morning. I usually arrive on time. From time to time, I'm late. Also, the timeless truth or untruth or the fact, present fact, we can say in simple present tense, like the earth rotates around the sun rises in the east, sun sets in the west, lions live in the grasslands of Kenya, my mother loves orchids, or the future with scheduled events, something, some planned scheduled event in the future, we can tell it in simple present tense, like the class starts tomorrow at 11:30. I have a dentist appointment after this class. These are the future scheduled plans. The plane lands at 12 noon every day. That's we can tell it in simple present tense. Okay, let's go to the next tense, that is present continuous tense. This is the timeline for present continuous. As we have already discussed, what is happening now at this moment is simple present continuous tense. Okay, let's go to the forms of present continuous. We already know that we need ing form for this with the verb. So subject plus is, am, are, is or am or are plus ing form of the verb. It's very easy to make. I am studying, we are studying, or you are studying, they are studying. He, she, is the third part, the third person singular, we use is. He is studying, she is studying, it is working, it is doing, something like that. Let's go to the usage of present continuous tense or present progressive tense. Like the forms we have already seen, am, is, or are plus ing for the verb. I am eating lunch, example. So when do we use this present continuous tense? We use for the actions that are happening right now at this moment. She is cooking in the kitchen I am teaching at this moment. Examples like that. So actions that are temporary, it need not to be right now happening, but it can be a temporary happening around now. They are staying in London for a few days. So we can say they are staying in a hotel for a few days. I'm studying a book, I'm reading a book. So it need not to be in a particular time, but it is happening around now. It's a temporary action. Definite future plans, we can use it with present continuous. It's now generally using I'm going hiking tomorrow. Here, don't confuse here hiking, because you can see two ing forms here. This one is used as a gerund, so we will learn about gerunds also in the last part of this presentation. I'm going hiking tomorrow, or I'm planning to meet my manager tomorrow at 10 p.m. It's examples like that. Something we already planned at this time, so we can explain. We can explain it in present progressive tense for the future plans. Okay, present perfect tense. The present perfect tense is used to talk about an event that began in the past. See, it started in the past and it's continuous until the present. It has an effect in the present, but it's not mentioning that it is continuing, but it has an effect until this time. It is normally formed by adding has or have before the past participle, the V3 form of the verb. Here we can see he has, in the example, he has lived in Rabat for 2 years. Rabat is in Morocco, the capital of Morocco. He has lived there for 2 years. So if this is 2020, we can say that from 2018 he was living in Rabat, and as of now we can tell he has lived in Rabat for 2 years. Okay, the forms of present perfect tense: subject plus has or have plus past participle form, that is V3 form of the verb. For except the third person singular, that is he, she, it, for all the other subject pronouns we use have. I have, we have, you have, they have studied. He, she, it has studied. He has studied. Let's talk about the uses of present perfect tense. We have mainly 4 uses. The first one is result of an action in the past which has an importance in the present. Here in the example we can see I have cleaned my room. So something I started in the past, I started cleaning before a particular time, and now, as of now, I have finished cleaning my room. So we can say I have cleaned my room. The importance in this sentence is the cleaning is done. So that is what is present perfect tense. Recently completed action, something I have just completed, something he has just done. He has just played handball. This boy who is next to me, he just came from his handball court. So we can say he has just played handball. That is state beginning in the past and still continuing. Something we can tell that it's still continuing, which has started in the past and still continuing. Like that actions, we have lived in Canada since 1986. So in this particular sentence, we are telling from 1986, we started living in Canada and we are still living. But here we want to see that still the importance is not for the time, but the importance here is for the living. We have lived. The action has more importance here. All right, the next one is together with lately, recently, at. We can use this. I have been to London recently. So this is something I have done recently, something I have just completed, some completed action. So I have been to London recently. I have been to Madrid. I have been to Agra recently. Something like that. We can use it in present perfect, which has an effect to the present. All right, now we will go to the present perfect continuous. This tense is used to describe the duration of an action began in the past and it is continuous to the present and it is still continuing. He has been studying grammar for an hour. He has been cooking all day. In both the sentences, you can see he is still studying and she is still cooking. He started studying from a point of time in the past and it's continuing. As of now, this is the present time and it is still continuing. Here, what we mentioned here is the time of the continuity of his action during this one. This is what is important here in present continuous tense. He has been studying grammar for an hour. So the importance here is for an hour is studying. This is continuity. She has been cooking all day. All day she was cooking. She is very tired now. So that is what is important here. All right, let's go to the forms of present perfect continuous tense. We use subject plus has or have plus been plus ing form of the verb. Like same like the previous example, the third party singular we use has, that means has been, and the other all subject pronouns I, we, you, they, we use have been studying. So I have been studying, we have been, you have been, they have been studying. She has been, it has been. Let's go to the usage of present perfect continuous. It is used to talk about an ongoing state or action which began in the past and it is still continuing. Women have been speaking out on this issue for some time with mixed results. So they had started this action in the past and it's still continuing at this time, and the period of continuity is more important now. That is for some time. See, women have been speaking out on this issue for some time. They are still talking about this issue. That is what is important here. He has been talking on the phone for half an hour. So here he had started talking on the phone at a time in the past and still continuing. And what is important here is for half an hour he is talking. What is he talking about? That is what is important here. All right, the next one. It is common to use since or for with this use of present perfect continuous. I have been looking into the possibility of early retirement since the reorganization. From this reorganization, I have been looking into the possibility of retirement. I did not like the reorganization, so I wanted to move out from the company, from my job. So the importance is from this date. From this date, I am planning to do something else. The period of the continuity from this particular time. Okay, let's have a recap of all the present tenses what we have learned now. Simple present, normally the habitual actions, we use the V1, the first form of the verb, or S or ES form also. Present continuous, the live continuous actions, we use verb plus ing form. Present perfect, the recently completed actions, and we use has or have plus the present past participle, that is V3 form. And present perfect continuous, what is started in the past and it is still continuing, the ongoing actions where the period of continuity is what is important. Here in present perfect, the action, the completeness of action is important. So here we use verb plus the have or has plus been plus ing form of the verb. I have been going. I have been studying. I have been teaching. So let's go to the next, the tense, that is past tense. So we already know that we divided tense into three categories in terms of time: present, past, and future. Present, we studied what is happening now or around now that we have completed. And now it is going to be the past tense. What is already happened, what is happened before now. It has four aspects, that is simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Let's go to the simple past. Simple past is what is already done at a particular time. So it has no effect as of now. It is completed already. It has no effect to the present, and it is already done at a particular time. Okay, we don't need any comparison for this simple past tense because we just need to mention a particular time in the past. Let's go to the forms. Subject plus the past form, that normally the ed form, the v2 form of the verb, or sometimes we use was or were. I studied, or I was a teacher in 1990s, something like that. We, you, or they, we studied, or we were friends while we were in army, something like that. He, she, it studied, or she was a teacher when she was young, something like that. Let's talk about the usage of simple past tense. When it is used, it's used for something you did before at a particular point of time in the past. Simple form of the verb plus ed is normally used, but these are only for the regular verbs. For irregular verbs, the different forms are used. I will talk the same in the next slide. Okay, study will become studied. When I was 6 years old, I studied at my elementary school. Last week, I studied every night. Last year, I studied biology. Yesterday, I studied at the coffee shop. Or we can tell, yesterday, I woke up at 6 o'clock. I brushed my teeth. I had my breakfast at 8 a.m. I dressed up. I went to school. So whatever series of action what I had done yesterday, so I can mention each one separately in simple past tense as well. Okay, let's see regular and irregular verbs. So I told that this past form is used for the simple past. So in the regular verbs, it is normally we get this one by adding d or ed. We can see in all these forms d or ed. Some are with the addition of ed, like add become added, ed we added it. Bake become baked, we added only d to this. So different forms. So in the irregular forms, ed and d are not making the past or past participle form. It is extremely different. We have to remember it. We have to learn it. Arise become arose and arisen in past participle, and be, was, were, and been. Begin, began, begun, choose, chosen, come, came, come. These are the examples. So we have to thorough this, especially the irregular forms. We need to remember it. Let's go to the past continuous form, something which was going on at a particular time in the past. The past continuous is often used with the simple past to show that one action was in progress when another action occurred. Formed by adding was or were before the verb and ing to the verb. So if there is two action in the past, the first action which was continuous, we can use it in past continuous, and the last action we can use it in simple past. Like we can tell in this example, I was taking a bath. So he started taking a bath at this time when the doorbell rang. Doorbell rang at this time. So I was taking a bath. He was doing this process of bathing while the doorbell rang. So this is a beautiful example here. They were eating dinner when the neighbors stopped by for a visit. So these people, they were sitting in the house. They started dinner from here. So they were eating dinner all this time. They were having dinner all this time. And this point of time, the neighbors came and stopped. So the neighbors stopped by for a visit. All right, let's go to the forms of past continuous tense. It is easy, very easy to identify. Subject plus was or were plus ing form of the verb. So for the first person singular, that is I, we use was. I was walking, I was studying. For the second person, you, singular and plural, plus the first person plural, plus the third person plural. So basically all the plural forms we use were. We were working, you were working, they were working. Other than I, all the singular forms, sorry, he, she, it, these are basically the third person singular. We use was, he was, she was, it was. So that's a form of the past continuous. So let's see the usage of it. We use it to talk about an action in progress at a certain time in the past, like we had seen in the previous examples. Yesterday at 10 a.m., I was having dinner. So I started the dinner before that time, and at this 10 a.m., I was still having dinner. For two or more actions happening at the same time in the past, so we can combine these two past continuous tenses together also. Like while I was studying, my sister was playing the guitar. So two action was continuous at the same time. 3, for an action in progress in the past interrupted by a sudden action, which is seen in the last example. I was having a shower when the phone rang. I started taking shower at a particular point of time. I was having that shower and something else has obstructed, something else has stopped that action. So when the phone bell rang, I was still doing the bath. I was still having the shower. Let's go to the past perfect. Past perfect, it describes completed events that took place in the past before another past events. If we have like two past events, so what is the past of past? What is the earlier one? We can use past perfect. And what is recently done? That is in simple past. So here we have some examples here. Let us see the example first. The Titanic had received many warnings before it hit the iceberg. So here it had received many warnings. That is started in the past. That is the past action. Titanic had received many warnings. And later it hit the iceberg. So here there is two action in the past, which is past of the past, which is earlier action, which is the earlier action we use had received, and which is the later action, the recent action, which we use in simple past tense. All right, let's see another example. I had already eaten when my friend stopped by to visit. Okay, so here I had eaten. This is what had happened before, and when my friend stopped by, I had already finished that action. So what was past? What was the past for the past? Was eaten, had eaten. So what is recently happened? The friend stopped by to visit. Let's talk about the forms of past perfect tense. Subject plus had plus past participle or V3 form of the verb. For all the subject pronouns, we use had. So it is very easy. Had studied, we use for all the subject pronouns. I had studied, he had studied, she had studied, they had studied, all of them had studied. Let's go to the past perfect tense. When do we use past perfect tense? The past perfect take place before another past action. When we have two past actions, the first action is in past perfect tense and the second action we can normally say in simple past tense. Example, I noticed that he had left his books behind. So what has happened before is he had left his book behind, but I noticed it recently. So the old action is in past perfect. The recent action, which is in the past also, it is in the simple past. Let's go to the past perfect continuous. This tense is used to emphasize the duration of an action that was completed before another action or event in the past. Let's see the examples. She had been driving around the city for 3 hours before she finally found the right office. She was searching for the office a long time. And so we can mention here, this lady has started driving before, and from this point, she had started driving. So she had been driving all this period until she found the right office. At this time, she found the right office. So the old action, we can mention it in had been driving, and the latest action, we can mention it in simple past form. And since we are using the past perfect, the had been driving, we are giving the importance to the period of continuity of the action. So had been driving around the city for 3 hours before she finally. We are giving the importance of she had been driving for 3 hours. That's what is important here. All right. Let's go to the form of past perfect continuous tense. Subject plus had been plus ing form of the verb. I, we, you, they, he, she, it. For all the subject pronouns, we use had been studying. Same like the past perfect, we use had. Here just the difference is we use had been and the ing form of the verb. Let's talk about the usage of past perfect continuous tense. It is to describe a past action already started and continued up to another past action. So here in this example, we can see the boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. The first action, which is the first action, is boys had been playing soccer, which is expressed in perfect continuous tense. And the recent action, it is expressed in simple past tense. So here, boys had been playing soccer for about an hour when it started to rain. So in the next usage, to express the duration before something in the past, like in the example, Richard needed a holiday. Why he needed a holiday? Because he had been working hard for 6 months. So he had been working hard for 6 months is the past action, and because of that he badly needed a holiday. Okay, like in the third example, we can see to describe the cause of something in the past. Because of this, something has happened. He was tired. Why? Because he had been jogging. So because of this past action, he had been jogging all the day. He was tired. So we can combine these two past actions. Let's talk about all the past tenses that we have learned. A final recap of tenses. Simple past, an action started in the past and completed in past itself, we use the V2 form of the verb. The past continuous, the action in progress in past at a particular point of time, we use the ing form of the verb. Past perfect, it states about an action completed before another action took place in the past. So two action, which is the oldest action, which is the past of the past, we use had plus P3, that is the past perfect form. Past perfect continuous started in the past, continued for some time, and ended also in the past. So the continuity of the action was important here in the past perfect continuous, that is had plus been plus ing form of the verb. So that's about past tense. Now we talk about the future tense. Future tense also has 4 states: simple, continuous, perfect, and perfect continuous. Let's go to the simple future. Simple future is something will be done on a particular time in the future. So if I am telling about something I will do tomorrow, after a week, after a month, after a year, after a long time, so we can tell it in simple future form. Normally we use will, and we are also using another structure, that is going to. Okay. Forms of simple future tense. The main form is subject plus will plus base form of the verb, and also we are using subject plus am, is, are plus going to plus base form of the verb. This is the construction. This is actually not tense, not future tense, but we are using this construction for the simple future tense. It's using mostly verbal though. For our official communications, we use will. Like example, I will study, or I am going to study. There's a difference between I will study and I am going to study. I will study, it means it is not planned perfectly the time of study, but when we say I am going to study tomorrow, that means I have already decided, I have already planned for tomorrow's studies. Here we, you, they, for all the subject pronouns we use will study, or but for the first person singular, that is I, we are using I'm going to study. Like here in the third person singular, we always use is going to study, he's going to study. And for the second person you, and the first person plural and the third person plural, we use we are going to study, you are going to study, they are going to study. Let's talk about the simple future tense, the uses. Going to, we are expresses plan for the future. I'm going to visit my grandpa tomorrow. This is already planned, well planned items. We are using going to. And will expresses a sudden decision, not perfectly planned. I will have fish instead of chicken. Suddenly we can tell like that when the bear come and ask us, do you prefer this one? So we can tell I will have fish instead of chicken. Expresses a desire to, or agreement to do something. I'll keep my promise. Both can be used to make future predictions, like she will be famous someday, or she is going to be famous someday. There's a slight difference between these two. She will be famous someday, that is based on assumption. But when we'll talk about she is going to famous someday, that is based on some facts I have as at this point of time. Okay. Will is used to express future actions decided at the moment of speaking, but going to describes future plans decided before the moment of speaking. It is already planned. Let us talk about future continuous tense. As we have learned already, when we have an action that will be continuing in the future at a particular point of time, when that time we can use future continuous tense. This tense is used to describe an event or action that will occur over a period of time at a specific point in the future. The continuity of that action is also important here in the future continuous tense. At 10 a.m. tomorrow, that is a phrase we can use for a future continuous tense. At 10 a.m. tomorrow, I will be having a meeting. By the time you arrive, I will be doing something else. So let's go into the details. The forms of future continuous tense: subject plus will be plus ing form of the verb. For all the subject pronouns, I, we, you, they, even he, she, it, we use will be. Then we use the ing form of the verb, like I will be studying, he will be studying, she will be studying, they will be studying, etc. Let's talk about the usage of future continuous tense. Where do we use this future continuous tense? Action in progress at a time in the future. Like in this example, we can see I will be meeting Tom this Saturday. So that action will be happening on a particular time in the future. Interrupted actions in the future. Normally the use of word when is normally happened here. She will be waiting for you when you arrive. So when you arrive tomorrow or anytime in the future, she will be there waiting for you. Parallel actions in the future. The word while or and are normally used here to combine these two parallel actions. Sam will be dancing while Paul will be dancing. So both these actions will be happening together at a particular time in the future. So when one is happening, the other one also happening. So both are in the future action. Both are in the future. So we can tell Sam will be dancing while Paul will be dancing. Let's talk about future perfect tense. As we have already learned before, all the perfect tenses we use when we say about something perfectly done at a particular point of time. When we say something has something perfectly done until this time, at present time, we use present perfect tense. Something done in the past before a particular time, we use past perfect tense. And in the same kind, something will be done before another future event, we can use future perfect tense. So here this tense is used to describe an event or action that will be completed before another event or time in the future. This is the timeline, this is the present, and these are two future actions. And the first action we can mention it in future perfect tense. And the second action, which is the future action, we can mention it in simple present tense. Here in the example, we can see we will have finished the exam by the time class ends tomorrow. So exam will be finished at first and the class ends after. So we can combine these two by the help of future perfect tense. Let's go to the form of future perfect tense. We normally use will have plus past participle form of the verb with the subject, or all the subject pronouns I, we, you, they, he, she, it, we use will have. So it will be like I will have studied, she will have studied, he will have studied, like that. Let's talk about the usage of future perfect tense. When do we use this tense? Number one, completion before a specific time in the future. Like we have in this example, we'll have two events. So the first thing will be completed before the second event begins. So let's see in this example, by the end of this week, she will have completed her assignments. So She will have completed her assignment will be the first thing will be done in the future before the second thing starts. So by the end of the week, she will have completed her assignments. Second type, duration in the future. We will tell about the period of something in the future. He will have worked in Japan for exactly 30 years by 2030. So by 2030, this person is working there now, and by 2030 he will have completed 30 years of work in Japan. So he started his job in 2000, and for the 30 years is working, and by the year 2030 he will have completed 30 years of service, 30 years of work. Okay. Next is certainty about the near past. Something is going to happen in the near past. Something is happening. Something will be happened during this time. So they will have arrived at the hotel by now. So around this time, I'm expecting them to come to the particular hotel. So I can tell they will have arrived at the hotel by now. Congratulations, friends. We have reached to that point where we are going to learn the last tense of this group of 12 tenses, that is future perfect continuous. This tense describes an action that has been in progress for a duration of time before another event or time in the future. So in this example, we will have two future actions. The first action will start at a particular time and it will continue for a period of time until the second action occurs. So here in this example, we can see by the time he finishes law school, that is at this point, we will have been living in the US for 8 years. So this period of our stay in US, by that time, it will be 8 years. So this starting point can be anywhere. It can be past, it can be present, it can be future. But by the time this person finishes his law school, the whole family will complete 8 years in US. So that's the meaning of this. By the time he finishes law school, we will have been living in the US for 8 years. Okay, let's go to the forms of future perfect continuous tense. Subject plus will have been plus ing form of the verb. Okay, this for all the subject pronouns we will use will have been. So I will have been studying, he will have been studying, she will have been studying, all of them will have been studying. Let's talk about the use of future perfect continuous tense. When do we use this tense? Actions that will have started in the future and that will have continued for some time in the future, and that action will still be in progress in the future before a specific moment. Like in this example, we can see they will have been flying to London for 4 hours by this time tomorrow. So by this time tomorrow, they will have been continuing their action. They will have started and they will have continuing their action. There's a period of continuity, and that period of continuity is 4 hours by the same time tomorrow. Another one, before an action taken place, we will have two actions in the future. The first action will start at a particular time and that will continue until another action stops. We will have been cleaning the house all day by the time she returns. So there are two actions. So one action is like we will start cleaning the house and we'll have been cleaning this house for all the day by the time she returns. When she returns, we will have been continuing, we will have been doing that process. So that process of continuity is important here. So let's talk about all the future tenses. It's a recap for this. all the future tenses. Like in simple future actions, it's not yet begun. Some future actions, we will use shall or will plus V1 form of the verb. In future continuous action, which is in progress in future at a specific point of time. Some actions will be continuing at a particular time in the future. We will use shall or shall be, will be, plus ing form of the verb. Or future perfect actions will have been completed in the future at a particular point, before a particular point of time in the future. We will use with shall, will, plus have, plus the V3, the present past perfect form of the verb. Future perfect continuous is action began in the past, or it can be in the future also, and continue up to a specific time in the future. So some actions will continue to a specific time in the future. The period of action is also important there, and the continuity of that action until that time is important here. So we'll use shall or will plus have been plus ing form of the verb. So that's all about tenses. So as we have completed our lessons about all the 12 tenses of English language, now we want to know something about the peripherals of it, something general things about this. So this is an example of all the tenses here and the forms and examples of each of these tenses. So it's it's like a recap. You can refer this. So I'm not going to explain it each of the terms here, but it's a general recap. You can come back and see in one page. And here we can see this is a pictorial representation of all the tenses. If you have any doubt in future about a particular tense, so you can come back and refer this. So in this example, they are swimming in the pool. See, right? So it's going, it's moving on. So we can use this present continuous tense here. So you will be missing the sunshine once you are back in England. So the pictorial representation will give us a more clear understanding about the tenses. So I'll not explain it again into details because we have already covered almost everything. So this is just giving you an idea about how the pictorial representation of tenses will look like. Let's go to the common time words of verb tenses. It's very important because in simple present, we use these words every day, every month, or week, year, always, sometimes, never, frequently. Like George jogs 3 miles every day. So this is a general fact. General is his habit. Mary always has salad for lunch, her habit. I sometimes go to New York City. This is, it's true for me. It's generally I go to New York City. Like in simple past, we use yesterday, years, weeks, months, days, hours. So many examples here also. Tom went to Los Angeles yesterday. The previous time, in previous year, we can use simple past. Simple future, tomorrow, the future time, next, weeks, years from now, afternoon, someday. Mary will go to Hawaii in 2 weeks. Ed will drive to Toronto next Sunday. George will paint his house 6 days from now. So present continuous, now, right now, at this moment, what's happening? You are reading sentences about verb tense right now. Many students are taking calculus this semester. This is general examples. Future continuous, at this time tomorrow, what you are going to do. Present perfect for since, for this period of time, never, always, so far, times, many times, lately, recently. Sam has visited Hawaii many times. Paul has been here for 6 hours. Yoko has known Mary since 1994. Present perfect continuous you can also use for, since, lately, recently. Rita has been jogging for 2 hours. The period of period of continuity. The continuity of action is important here in present perfect, and in the present perfect, the action, the perfectness of action is important. Now let's talk about the different tense forms. We already learned affirmative sentences before. Now we will talk about negative and interrogative sentences. So in this example, present simple, I have a car, that is an affirmative sentence. In the negative sentence, we will say, I don't have a car. If this I become he here, he has a car, it will become he doesn't have a car. So for the third person singular, he, she, or it, the negative sentences will be he doesn't, she doesn't, it doesn't. And the interrogative sentences also will change for the first person, second person, or third person plural. We use do I have, do they have, do you have. But for the last three, that is third person singular pronouns, he, she, it, we will use does he have, does she have, does it have. So we will use does for the does as the auxiliary verb here for the interrogative sentences. For the present continuous tense, the affirmative form is like you are playing football now. It will be I am playing football or he is playing football. The negative sentence will be you are not playing football now. I'm not playing football now. He's not playing football now. The interrogative sentence will be like, are you playing football now? Am I playing football now? Is he playing football now? So the same thing, the auxiliary verbs we are using here, the same auxiliary verb will start for an interrogative sentences. So present perfect here, the affirmative, it will look like they have been staying there, they have been teaching. So the negative will be they haven't been there, they haven't been staying there. Interrogative will be have they been staying there, have they been there. So if it is has, he has been there, he hasn't been there, has he been there. So the same thing, same auxiliary verb we use here. So we use here as in negative and interrogative, same verb here. Present perfect continuous, I have been living there, I haven't been living here. Have they been living here? Or it can be has he been living here? Has she been living here? Past, simple past, I lived in London. I didn't live in London. Did I live in London? If it's for he lived in London, all the simple past form we use the V2 form. So all will have the same negative and interrogative sentences. He didn't, I didn't, she didn't. So everyone didn't. Here, did I, did he, did she, did they, everything did. Past continuous is like an affirmative form. I was playing football. Negative, I wasn't playing. So if it is like he was playing football, they were playing football, we were playing football. So he wasn't playing football. They weren't playing football. We weren't playing football. Was I playing? Were they playing? Were you playing? So the same thing what we use here in the affirmative auxiliary verb, the same will be here as well. In the past perfect, he had worked, he hadn't worked, had he worked. the same thing. It's always past. In the past perfect only we use had, so we will continue to use had for all the other subjects. Past perfect continuous, I had been watching, I hadn't been watching, had I been watching. It's also same, had been, hadn't been, had I been. It will be same for all the subject and past perfect continuous forms. Future simple, I will come, I won't come, will I come. It will be like it's for all for all the subjects. It will be same. She will come, they will come, I will come, he will come, she won't come, they won't come, I won't come. All same. Will I come? Will she come in? Will they come in? All same. Future continuous. I will be playing basketball. I won't be playing basketball. Will I be playing basketball? This also will be same because will be is common for all the subjects. Now let's go to the future perfect. He will have finished. He will not have finished. Will he have finished? For all the future perfect, we will use the same. He will have finished, I will have finished, they will have finished, all same. So it will be same like here. He won't have finished. Will she, will they, will I have finished? All same. In the future perfect continuous, we will have been starting. We won't have been starting. Will we have been starting? It will be also same. He won't have been starting. She won't have been starting. They won't have been starting. You won't have been starting. Will you have been starting? Will he have been starting? Will she have been starting? It's all same. It is also important to know active and passive voices when we learn about tenses, because these type of sentences normally used to come in our daily writing or speaking. So active voice describes a sentence where the subject performs the action stated by the verb. So this is the normal sentences. Like I make a cake, I'm making a cake, I made a cake. So here all we can see the subject is performing the action. But in the passive voice, the subject is acted upon by the verb. So the action is not performed by the subject, it is performed by the object. It is the subject is acted upon by the verb. So subject is not important here. Like here we can say a cake is being made, cake is made, a cake is being made, a cake was made. So the object is having more importance here. So if somebody says a cake will be made, so we should immediately know it's future simple tense in passive voice. Like an example, this one is normally coming across in all our speaking and writing. A cake is made. Someone tell, it is done. It is completed. A cake is made. The work is completed. So we should know that it is in present simple form. Just it is it's a passive voice. Okay, that's about the active and passive voice. It is also important to know about gerunds when we talk about or when we learn about tenses, because the gerunds can be of confusion when we have some sentences like running is good for your heart, he hates waking up early. So these sentences will confuse us. Which tense is it? Okay, so let's know about gerunds. Gerund is a noun made from a verb by adding ing form. All right, usage, like gerunds can be of different usage. It can be used as a subject, it can be used as an object, subject complement, object of a preposition, etc., etc. So these are the examples of how we use this gerund. So we should know that it is or a noun. The meaning will come in noun form. Gerund as subject, gerund can be the subject of a sentence like this, it is always singular. Use a third person singular verb after a gerund, like voting is an important responsibility. Choosing a candidate takes time. This all comes in simple present. Let us talk about some confusing verb tense forms. Like in this example, I have my dinner, or she has her dinner. Regularly, I have my dinner at 8 p.m. or she has her dinner at 9 p.m. So it is simple present tense. Don't confuse with this have. It's not. It's nothing to do with the perfect tense. I had my dinner, or she had her dinner. It is simple past tense. This here had is just the simple past form. I have had my dinner, or she has had her dinner, is present perfect tense. Here, this have is acting as the perfect tense form. I had had my dinner, or she had had her dinner, it is a past perfect form. So the had is used here for the past perfect, and we are using the third form, that is the past participle form of have. All right, so now let's talk about I got scared by thunder. So here, don't confuse this. I got scared. It's two past tenses we are using. Don't confuse this, because the second past tense is used as an adjective here. So scared is an adjective here. So it is in simple past tense. I got scared by thunder. It is a simple past tense. So I'm so happy that you have traveled all the way until this last slide of the presentation. And here is a small summary for you that what we have learned over these all courses. And I'm pretty sure you might have got all the information about tenses. And if you like this video, please share and subscribe. And thanks a lot for watching.